Well, hello. I'm happy to have this opportunity to go over with you what we might see in a blue eye like this. Now, there are blue eyes that are bright blue. There are blue eyes that are greenish and blue eyes that are a gray or a dark. So not every blue eye has all of the same characteristics, but we do put all blue eyes into a category that is called lymphatic. Now, you might wonder, well, why do we call them lymphatic? Well, one reason is we know that if a person has a blue eye, that they are going to have some drainage things going on. So let's take a look at this eye. When I say drainage, I mean kidney, lymph, getting things out of the bodies, and often it goes along with detoxing. So let's take a look at this eye briefly. One of the things that you might notice is that there are rings in the iris or circles. The pupil is a ring. If you look at this iris closely, you'll see that there is a brown ring around the pupil, and that gives us some indications into absorption, assimilation, and also into the central nervous system. Inside of that next circle that you see as bright white with some yellow on it, everything inside that circle has to do with digestion. So in there, we find our stomach, we find our ascending, transverse, and descending colon, small intestines. Everything to do with our digestion is in that little ring. And it tells us something by the shape, by the size, and by the color. And so if you'll look, you can see that inside you have some openings, and along the outer edge, which we call the collarette, but colloquially it's called the autonomic nerve wreath, because it tells us kind of whether you're in sympathetic, parasympathetic, how your nervous system is functioning, and what you were born with, what you were given when you got a nervous system. Now, outside of there, you see a ring of light blue, almost white, and it covers the majority of this person's iris. Anything that as white we feel like is called a hot spot, or it means it's hyper activity, hyper acidity. So it's in a heightened state. It's more than normal. And when we go outside of that, on the outer ring, you see that there's a very dark ring around the outer edge of the iris. We call this a scurf rim, and it represents not only the skin, but how the skin is able to exfoliate, to detoxify, to allow toxins to escape, the person's ability to sweat, which is one way we get toxins out. And so this is the skin, but when it's a little bit larger, it infringes upon the lymphatic and the circulatory systems as well, as we would see in this person. So there are a few hints here that I wanted to say. Just if you knew the color of a person's eye and you saw that it was a bright blue with a lot of white in it, we would know that they might need to be checking their diet and making sure that they're eating more alkaline foods, because they're going to have a propensity to be more acidic. Another thing that stands out in this person is the yellow along that collarette or nerve wreath. Yellow in the iris always relates to kidneys in the iris itself. Now, if we see yellow out in the sclera, it might be the liver. But you know, those kidney and the livers are all in that third chakra area, which is above the belly button, but below the breast. And so in there, we've got liver, pancreas, spleen, and kidneys, all associated to a degree with the color yellow. So if we look at that yellow and we go, okay, well, let's take a look. And we look down at the bottom and we see that there is a rarefication and a lacuna in the kidney area. And you might have to squint just a little bit to see it, but it's down here at the bottom. And there is a transversal here, and it just kind of falls down into the kidney areas. And then there's like an open lacuna down here at the bottom. Lacuna simply means a shape. And so in this person's eye, we see that there is some probably history of kidney or some strain on the kidney. Now, also to go along with the detoxification idea, if we look over here on the outside at 9 o'clock, you'll see another rarefication and a lacuna, and that's in the lung area. Well, you know, the lungs are one of our major ways of detoxifying the body. So we can deduce from the scurf rim on the outside, from the yellowing along the collarette, and from the kidney, lung, and liver signs that this person probably isn't detoxifying as well as they should. So we want to ask them about their bowel movements, about their water intake, about their urinary tract. Do they have any history of urinary tract infections? Do they have inflammation? Because this eye would indicate some inflammatory response as well. So there's a lot more to look at in this eye, but I just wanted to give you a basic introduction to the lymphatic eye. This is sort of the beginning of what we look at in an iridology class. And I would hope that you would have the opportunity sometime to study iridology because it's a fascinating study, and I would love to have you in class. So anyway, here's your lymphatic eye. If your eye is like this, you might relate to some of the things we talked about today.